In the last 24 hours, a U.S. Air Force RC-135U combat sent electronic intelligence aircraft flew around much of China's southern coastline, which meets the northern end of the South China Sea. This mission comes after reports that Chinese fighters have been harassing foreign observation and reconnaissance planes flying over international seas in the South China Sea and elsewhere in the Pacific. This includes a particularly dangerous intercept of a Royal Australian Air Force P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol plane by a Chinese J-16 fighter jet, which was revealed just this weekend and about which you can read more here. According to online flight tracking data, the RC-135U in question, with the serial number 6414849, flew its mission near China's southern coast on June 6, including around Hainan Island and into the Gulf of Tonkin. In that region of the planet, it is currently June 7. The highly vital Yulin Naval Station, the People's Liberation Army Navy's key center in the region and its main nuclear submarine base, where all of the plan's ballistic missile submarines are homeported, is located on the island of Hainan. The route was similar to one taken by a U.S. Navy EP-3E Ares II, another electronic intelligence gathering platform, when it collided with a People's Liberation Army J-8 fighter jet in 2001, keeping the aircraft in international airspace very close to Chinese territory the entire time. On June 3, the same RC-135U, one of only two in service, conducted another sortie that took it near to locations along much of China's central and northern coastlines. Both of these missions were launched from the Kadena Air Base on Okinawa, Japan. The SCS Probing Initiative, a public flight and ship tracking initiative managed by China's Peking University in Beijing, hypothesized yesterday that the RC-135U's recent flights brought it closer to the shore, allowing it to collect data on targets further within the country. The general timing of these recent RC-135U sorties is interesting for a number of reasons, whether they are routine or not. In May, a PLA J-16 fighter jet intercepted one of the Royal Australian Air Force P-8As flying over the South China Sea, prompting the Australian government to publish statements about what it called a highly risky intercept. As you can read more about here, the Chinese fighter cut across the course of the Australian plane and fired decoy flares and chaff, causing damage in the process. Canadian authorities revealed data this week concerning a series of perilous intercepts of Royal Canadian Air Force CP-140 Aurora maritime patrol planes by Chinese fighters in April and May of this year. In some cases, the Canadian planes were flying much further north in support of an international operation monitoring North Korea's compliance with UN sanctions, or lack thereof. Of course, reports of Chinese harassment of foreign ISR and other aircraft, particularly those flying above international waters in the highly contested South China region, are nothing new. Furthermore, the RC-135U's presence off the coast of China comes on the heels of a significant PLA show of force aimed at Taiwan last week. On May 30, a total of 30 Chinese military aircraft flew into the southwestern corner of the island's air defense identification zone, including a mix of 22 fighter jets of various types, as well as various airborne early warning and control aircraft, electronic warfare, anti-submarine, and ISR planes. Since January 23, when 39 Chinese aircraft flew flights in this region of Taiwan's Adiz, this was the highest number of sorties. In recent years, the Chinese government has dispatched a high number of military aircraft into Taiwan's Adiz, or international airspace. These large-scale flights are usually in response to activities by the authorities in Taipei or their international partners, particularly the United States, which the Beijing administration finds objectionable. The May 30 sorties came just days after U.S. President Joe Biden warned that the U.S. would defend Taiwan against any attempt by mainland authorities to capture it by force, remarks that drew a sharp rebuke from China and were later walked down by American officials. In recent years, U.S. military officials and members of America's intelligence community have stated that they believe the PLA is aiming to place itself in a position where it will be confident in its capacity to carry out a successful military operation against Taiwan by 2027. U.S. officials have also stated that they do not believe this means Beijing's administration will rush to launch such an operation at that time. At the same time, much has been said about what Chinese authorities may have learned from the international response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Beijing's government has criticized sanctions and other responses to Russia's aggression, but has appeared to provide only minimal assistance to Moscow. Whatever the case, the U.S. military's clear interest in having the most up-to-date and detailed information possible about Chinese radars and its integrated air defense system as a whole, across this highly strategic part of the world, is reflected in RC-135U 64-14849's recent flight along China's coastlines in the South China Sea, as well as the preceding one near areas further north. Hope you guys love the video. Don't forget to hit the like button and please do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon to all, so you can get the notification on each upload.